your vision for an engaged, informed, and active citizen for the future?
Right.
What can we do today in order to be much more legitimate as institutions for the future citizen of Europe? That this vision will be accomplished or fulfilled.
Okay, I think some of the targets we've set ourselves through Europe 2020 are very important milestones in getting there. So I would say the first one would be truly that every European who wishes, very important, who wishes, every European is truly digital. Not only having access to the internet, for example, not only having equipment to be able to have access to the equipment, but also knowing, having the knowledge of how to use these tools. So this is a very basic thing, but I think it's one of the important targets we've set ourselves in Europe 2020, and this is crucial to start getting there. What else could we be doing? I already see the change within the institutions in terms of also using these tools, these democratic tools, and that is wonderful to already see that at least on a European level we are embracing these changes that technology is getting. I think we need to do it a bit more wholeheartedly, but I do see as institutions we're getting there. I would say, however, that the one thing we really need to work hard for, and this is more of an emotional side, is trust then. Because we can work on great policy, we can try to achieve our set targets, but we need to inspire the trust of the citizen in using these tools available. And also the biggest challenge would be actually then through the member states as well, because it's not just the institutions, it's the whole system within Europe that needs to be geared up to that. There are many other things, but I would say, you know, Europe 2020 is a great tool, is an important tool. We've set ourselves very challenging goals, and I really believe we need to be striving to achieve those goals.
You have mentioned many actors, and we are always seeing that the decisions what we have to make in a representative democracy take some time.
Yeah.
How would you see that in the future this happens if we empower more the citizens?
Right.
This deliberation somehow going to be there, or how the direct democracy will be built in the future?
It is, time frames are truly a problem. If we look at the recent past, we see that even, for example, in the handling of our financial, banking, economic crisis, certain decisions have taken way too long to be taken. And this is where I tend to be a little bit critical. I am a passionate European, but that doesn't mean I'm not critical of the system when it goes wrong. And these periods, these deliberation periods are taking sometimes way too long. So the way I see it is actually will be much shorter, but you have different tiers of not decision making, but rather input. So you have the direct citizen democracy and participation in expressing positions and opinions. You then have the experts, the technical expertise, the economic expertise, whatever kind of expertise which you need also, because let's face it, me as a citizen, I'm not an expert in everything. I can express how things have an impact on my life, how I see my life developing, but then you do need to have the really people who are knowledgeable. You need to have civil society, so the participatory democracy and representation, and these working together in tandem, and technology can offer that speed of working together. I do think that decision making can be faster, but there again, this is a shift of a mindset, and I do think we are living this crisis, which is a very severe and very critical thing for not only Europe but globally. But I think these are also partly the lessons we should be learning and the changes we should be making in coming out of this crisis even stronger, even better, as Europe, globally, but the lessons learned, the changes we need to make, and doing them in the appropriate timing.
What I'm hearing here is, my translation would be that time is clay.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't really matter how much time it takes, because somehow involving more people, putting the right questions in the right time for the citizens or for the multi-stakeholders will give you the time.
Yes.
Because you will have a much more interactive environment with the use of the modern technology.
Absolutely.
So that's something which I heard.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's a nice vision.
And I may sound an idealist, which, mind you, I am an idealist. I do strive towards my ideal world. And I don't want to sound over optimistic, because optimism is good, but you cannot be overly optimistic. But I do think that these are the kind of visions we should be working towards.
And you have identified trends for us which are already there,
mm-hmm.
and it's a desired vision
yes.
for the future on the side. So I was wondering, taking the opportunity on discussing a little bit about the economic crisis, what we are experiencing today. If this happens in 2050 with us,
mm-hmm.
what would you see as the most important thing to do as first? I'm not asking you, of course, to criticize what we are doing today, but how this kind of situation or a catastrophe
mm-hmm.
can be dealt with in a different way, if it should be different.
Yeah. Whatever crisis we will be facing in 2050 will definitely be quite different from this crisis. The way I see it is, possibly we'll have more tools in our hands to recognize that we are coming into a period of crisis. We may have had these tools in our hands already now, or we may have decided not to see them. But I think because of how knowledge will be readily available, knowledge which will not be shared for just a few, but knowledge across the board, and also how we can be analyzing such knowledge, that we will be in a situation to be able to identify from the onset that we will be having any form of crisis. I'm saying even if it is a disaster, a natural disaster, I do see 2050 as we being in a position with the tools we have to identify at an early stage such things. How we would handle them is something I would say I don't really imagine this. I would go back to my previous statement about how I see democracy, because I really see it being handled by, yes, a task force, but a task force which has then more widespread input from a larger amount of people who can contribute to averting such crises.
So democracy is really everybody's business.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's outreaching to everybody.
Yes, and maybe I would imagine sometimes I have this discussion with people, but people are not interested in democracy, you know. They are aloof. They are not, they don't want to take part. You know, we see this in voting turnout, we see this in participation in debates, but then on the other hand we do see it in certain platforms that it's happening. But I think this crisis in itself is instigating people to have more to say, because it's not I am comfortable so let them do it. but each and every one of us is not becoming comfortable any longer, and this is the crisis we are living, because this is the situation. If I'm not in a desperate situation, which unfortunately a number of Europeans are in it, but I have the risk that I might be there, so we're thinking about it. And this in itself, I see it as one of the potential positive outcomes we can have out of this crisis, that people want to be part of having a say more, than rather than sit back and not do anything.